Are you curious about the one and only New Orleans Square at Disneyland? Well, let's take a look at that. Hey everyone, it's Kat from the Mouse Scout, and today we are at my favorite land at Disneyland, New Orleans Square. Now I know I tend to say a lot of things are my favorite, but truly, New Orleans Square is my favorite land, especially just to go and hang out. I like to just sit by the riverbank and watch all the boats go by. It's really peaceful, even on a very busy day. And it has my two favorite classic rides, Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean. This land is quite unique and has never been duplicated in any other Disney park. It's based on 19th century New Orleans, Louisiana, and its distinctive architecture is reminiscent of the French Quarter. Along its narrow, winding streets are boutiques and restaurants, and the sound of jazz and blues wafts through the air. There are also street performers that will roam around the land, and every once in a while you might catch a glimpse of Captain Jack Sparrow. New Orleans opened in 1966 and was the first new land since Disneyland's debut. It was officially dedicated by Walt and the mayor of New Orleans at the time, Victor Shiro. And when Shiro told the reporters it was just like the real thing, the reporters heard Walt remark off to the side in a soft voice, "Only cleaner." It was designed to look and feel like a real place where people live and work. If you pay attention to the upstairs balconies, you'll notice details of a fortune teller, a painter, and a group of musicians. And in the balcony overlooking the Pirates' Quay, you'll notice Walt's and Roy's initials in the ironwork. The second stories of New Orleans Square are dedicated to two private restaurants, 21 Royal and Club 33. Club 33 is a private and exclusive five-star restaurant that opened in May 1967. It was originally intended for use by Disneyland's corporate sponsors and other industry VIPs. Now anyone who has deep pockets and a lot of patience can join. Walt was inspired by the VIP areas of the 1964 World's Fair, and he wanted a members-only club where he can entertain his most important guests. Now it's a once-in-a-lifetime dream for many uber Disney fans. From what I read online, the initiation fee is $25,000, and the annual fee ranges from $10,000 to $15,000, and there is a 14-year-long wait list. The original entrance was a rather nondescript door next door to Blue Bayou. Although that door remains, the new entrance is across from the Crystal Shop. It is on my bucket list, of course, but I will not hold my breath. 21 Royal is another elite dining room hidden away above the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, although anyone can book this experience. Overlooking the rivers of America, this meal cost a flat $15,000 for up to 12 people. This cost covers the 7-course meal, tax, gratuity, wine pairings, and cocktails. It also includes a park hopper admission ticket for up to 12 people, valet parking at the Grand Californian, and a private after-dinner entertainment overlooking the rivers of America. You'll need to book 6 months in advance, and all I can say is wow. A more feasible option for dining in New Orleans Square is the Blue Bayou, arguably the best themed restaurant at the resort, and again, it's one of my favorites. It's actually located inside the same show building as Pirates of the Caribbean, and you watch the attractions as boats float by while you enjoy your dinner by a beautiful southern bayou. You'll hear the crickets and frogs and watch the glow of fireflies under the perpetual twilight sky. I love eating here, just for the ambiance alone. The food, however, can be hit or miss. I've had great meals and I've had bad meals, but it's a full-service restaurant with Cajun and Creole cuisine. For lunch, you can enjoy the Monte Cristo sandwich and New Orleans gumbo. And for dinner, you can enjoy roasted chicken maison and bone-in ribeye. The bread service was just okay. It tasted slightly stale. It looked really good, but didn't quite do it for me. And for dinner, Greg and I both had the bone-in ribeye, which he really enjoyed, but for me, it was just okay. It was a little under-seasoned. For dessert, they have one of my favorites, which is vanilla creme brulee, and this was excellent. Despite my criticisms, I do recommend having a meal here. It is a worthwhile experience. And the food, like I said, can be quite good depending on what you order. Reservations here are challenging to get, so book early. You can book up to 60 days in advance, and I highly recommend doing so. One of the most iconic attractions at Disneyland is our next destination, Pirates of the Caribbean. You board a small boat at Lafitte's Landing on the outskirts of New Orleans and float through the bayou, passing a man playing a banjo on his front porch. A Jolly Roger skull and crossbones warns you of dangers ahead, and you splash down 2 waterfalls, the second taking you back in time. You're transported back to the days when pirates are invading a small Caribbean seaport village, searching for Captain Jack Sparrow and auctioning off the villagers' goods. This attraction opened in March 1967 and was one of the last attractions Walt personally oversaw. It was originally going to be a walk-through wax museum, but with the success of the boat ride concept for It's a Small World, they decided to turn it into a ride-through attraction. Because the ride would now require a larger show building, they had to excavate outside the berm of the park, making the 2 drops at the beginning of the ride necessary to take guests underground to get to the main show building. Even though this ride is over 50 years old, it still remains one of the best Disneyland has to offer. After you exit the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, you'll find the Pieces of 8 store on your right. Here you'll find all your pirate souvenirs, accessories, and toys. The store opened in 1966, and it used to be the Pirates Arcade Museum. Be sure to look up when you're in the store and check out Jack the Monkey from the Pirates movies in the chandelier. And outside, look for the Captain Jack voodoo doll in the window. Across the courtyard for the entrance to 21 Royal, you'll find the store Port Royal Curios and Curiosities. This is a New Orleans-style boutique featuring merchandise for the Haunted Mansion and Nightmare Before Christmas. The name Port Royal was inspired by the 17th century pirate stronghold in the Caribbean, which is also used as the location of the Pirates of the Caribbean films. While you're on Royal Street, be sure to visit Fortune Red, who sits between Port Royal and Pieces of 8. His treasure chest is packed with dozens of fortunes and a series of tales from his adventures on the high seas. He is also part of a new experience on the Play Disney Parks mobile app, where you can collect dozens of fortunes and a series of stories as told by Esmeralda the Fortune Teller on Main Street and Fortune Red. Each day you visit the park, you can collect 1 fortune and a piece of the fortune teller's story at both Esmeralda and Fortune Red through the Play Disney Parks app without inserting a quarter. You'll get a collectible card as a fun keepsake with each chapter of the story. There are 3 10-part stories at each machine to collect. Tucked in before the Port Royal store is the Royal Street Veranda. This is a quick service location that serves yummy soup and sourdough bread bowls for lunch and dinner. You can choose clam chowder, steak gumbo, or vegetable gumbo. And for dessert, they have New Orleans fritters, which I have not tried yet. But I have tried the clam chowder, which I really liked, and in my opinion, the sourdough bread bowls are the best part of the meal. Continuing down Royal Street, you'll find caricature artists using their talents to create unique keepsakes for Disneyland guests. Number 35 Royal is Baton Rouge. This is an old voodoo shop that now sells those cute dresses based on Disney attractions and characters, along with unique handbags and accessories. Even if you're not looking for a new dress, be sure to drop in and just see the unusual decor. But why is there a suitcase on the ceiling? I don't know. Our next store is Crystal d'Orleans, which sells personalized cups and pitchers to figurines and tiaras for all his princesses. And you can get that crystallized Dumbo you've been wanting too. It's so shiny in here. Turning right on Orleans Street, you'll find Mademoiselle Antoinette's Perfumery. Just follow your nose. It's actually a great place to buy your perfumes because their prices match the department stores, and if you're an annual pass holder, you can get a discount. The store was personally designed by Walt's wife, Lillian Disney. The chandelier in the store was a present that Walt gave Lillian, and she generously donated. The beautiful artwork mirrors in the store were commissioned by Lillian from Glendra von Kessel. They were created by using a technique called reverse painting, a lost art with a history tracing back to the 14th century. Sadly, Glendra passed away before they were completed, and Disney legend Dorothea Redmond stepped in to finish them. They are stunning. Across from the new entrance to Club 33 is La Masquerade d'Orleans. From 1985 to 1999, the store sold Mardi Gras masks, hence the name, and the centerpiece of the store, which is a Harlequin bust behind the register. Since then, it has gone through many themes, selling candles, princess hats, pins, vintage-inspired hats, scarves, jewelry, and home decor. Today, it sells Pandora jewelry and accessories. Another unique present to buy yourself is a personalized parasol from a cart by Café Orleans. They decorate the parasols by hand, and they may not protect you from the rain, but they will help shield you from the sun. And it's something that's fun to twirl as you walk around. A great place to sit and people watch while enjoying a meal is Café Orleans. Out on the patio, you can enjoy picturesque views of the Mark Twain riverboat and the sailing ship Columbia gliding by on the rivers of America. The fare here is Cajun Creole inspired and home to the famous Monte Cristo sandwich, a deep-fried turkey, ham, and Swiss sandwich served with berry puree. My favorite are the pommes frites with Cajun spice remoulade, which are basically fancy fries. The menu is kind of small and features shrimp and grits, steak and potatoes, and Bourbon Street chicken. I've eaten here many times over the years, and like all Disney restaurants, it's hit or miss. I love the Mickey beignets. However, they recently took the vanilla bean creme anglaise off the menu, and without it, they just are not as good. I am very upset. There is a small amount of seating inside where you're surrounded by brass fixtures, dark woods, and stained glass. It's very homey. My favorite decor of the restaurant are the two frogs on the window from The Princess and the Frog. They are very cute. Reservations are recommended. Depending on the crowds, you may be able to get a table if you walk up, but it's not guaranteed. The quick service location in New Orleans Square is the French Market. Here you can dine al fresco under turquoise awnings on the patio while enjoying Cajun Creole Southern comfort food. No reservations needed here, just walk in. There are 2 lines around the stations where you can order sandwiches, soup, jambalaya, or oven-roasted chicken. What I suggest is, if you can, take a quick walk around the restaurant to look at the food before you order. It can help you make your decision. They've got a great assortment of desserts and fruit plates, too. There's an outdoor walk-up window by the French Market called the Mint Julep Bar. Here you can get the mint juleps and those tasty Mickey beignets. There's also a train station here in New Orleans Square where you can catch the Disney Railroad and take a grand circle tour around the park, or just use it to jump over to Fantasyland, Tomorrowland, or Main Street. And you know that clacking you hear in the background? It's Morse code telegraphing a paraphrased portion of Walt's opening day speech that says, "To all who come to Disneyland, welcome. Here age relives fond memories of the past, and here youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future." Be sure to check out our video on the Disneyland Railroad. I'll post a link below. Around the river bend is a beautiful antebellum house with one of the most beloved and popular classic attractions, the Haunted Mansion. It's a slow-moving journey in your doom buggy that takes you through the moldering sanctum of 999 happy haunts. But don't worry, this spooky manor doesn't get too scary. It's got a lot of stuff that makes you chuckle too. In typical Disney style, it's a fun celebration of the macabre. However, it was the struggle over what the tone should be for this ride that caused a lot of internal struggle at Disney's Imagineering. When the ride was in its planning stages at Imagineering, there was a great divide among the Imagineers on what tone the attraction should strike, scary or funny. Walt always wanted a haunted mansion in the park and felt it was lacking without one. The Imagineers proposed a run-down, desolate exterior, but Walt squashed that idea, saying, "We'll take care of the outside and let the ghosts take care of the inside." Construction of the Haunted Mansion began in 1962, and the facade was finished in 1963, but the building sat vacant because the Imagineers had to focus on the 1964 World's Fair. So the attraction didn't open until 1969, 7 years after the project began. And meanwhile, the disagreements continued among the Imagineers. What's the point of a haunted house if it's not scary? And if it scares children, then it's a non-starter. Finally, a compromise was reached to have both scary and funny elements in the attraction, which is why it is still so popular to this day. When the ride debuted, they did have the Hatbox Ghost included, but he never worked properly, so they took him out soon after. He became kind of a legend, and finally he was returned to the ride back in 2015. And by far the best part of this attraction is the song Grim Grinning Ghosts, which was composed by Buddy Baker with lyrics by Exitencio. He was the Imagineer that also wrote the song for Pirates of the Caribbean. Every year starting in September, the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland undergoes a holiday makeover with Jack Skellington and all his friends from The Nightmare Before Christmas. It is a fun variation on the ride. The Haunted Mansion celebrates 50 years in August 2019. There are a couple more Disney touches to look for when you're in New Orleans Square. Under the eaves of many of the buildings, you'll find fire insurance plaques. Residents in the late 1800s used to purchase fire insurance and receive a plaque to put on the outside of their homes or businesses. And then if you had a fire, the firemen would look for the plaque, and if they saw it, they would go all out to extinguish that fire. But I am not sure what they did if you didn't have a plaque. I mean, was it just like one guy with a garden hose? Along the waterfront by the Haunted Mansion, you'll notice a mysterious bricked-up arch in the wall with 1764 above it. Originally, the Imagineers envisioned a crypt-like tunnel leading from the Haunted Mansion to Tom Sawyer Island, a walk-through attraction including an arcade, saloon, and pirate hideout. But of course, it was never developed and they just bricked it up. Whew, did you make it this far with me? When we started researching New Orleans Square, we had no idea how much detail was put into this land. Maybe that's why I love it so. It's completely immersive. That's going to do it for us today. I hope you've enjoyed this thorough look at Disneyland's New Orleans Square. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing as we continue to explore what makes Disney so magical. Until next time, have a wonderful week, and remember, it's all just designed for fun.